Hello, everyone. We are back again with another edition of the EdClan. This is the volume 4, issue 1. And it was really an experience to come up with this edition, like always, because when being the editor, when I read all these articles, there's so much of insight I get into ECCE, early childhood care and education, that it is kind of a big time eye opener. And I really look forward to these editions of EdClan. And today we are joined by our contributors, Dr. Catherine Murray from USA, Sue Asquith, she's contributed an article, and she's from the UK. We have Neha with us. And I think without much ado, we should launch this journal. And I think Fatima just joined us from UK as well. So glad to have 4 of our contributors with us today. And allow me to share the screen. Yes, here we are. Is it visible to all? Yeah, it is. So this is our latest volume of EdClan. And this issue has some really amazing articles. And the cover looks very cute, like our little ones we work with. So, it reflects their color, their energy. 3 is a sign of growth. And like I said, it's got some amazing articles. So let's just go through this. So coming to the contents here, we have the first article by Dr. Catherine Murray on brain-friendly intentional teaching using the brain set environment formula. She is doing a lot of work in this area, and this article is surely a wonderful read, and it provides a lot of perspective into the brain set environment. The Unique Child by Dr. Sue Allingham. Today she's not here, but Dr. Sue is doing amazing work again, and she's even presented about the Unique Child in the Guwahati Delhi conference that we had in the beginning of this year. And it was something, it was really something that I think all the attendees had a lot of takeaways, that they had from it. By Fatima, we have this next article, phonics and literacy in early years. Again, a very pertinent topic. Moving to the next, we have Sue Asquith with her, and she has written about self-regulation skills for young children, something very important. And so we will be hearing from Sue about her write-up. Then we have a feature article about the ECDf Global Educators Workshop and Awards that we had in March in Delhi, where Dr. Catherine and Dr. Sue joined us. And then we had other educators joining us from all over India. Next comes our ECDf Literacy Awards. So during that conference, we also gave away the awards, and all our awardees are featured in this edition of the journal. We had this book launch, ECDf's Early Child Development, Universal Perspective by Global Experts. And this was one launch event I would never forget. It happened at the Press Club of India in Delhi. And and Dr. Catherine is also having a copy of the book, so am I. Yes. And now we are also having a monthly book club where we are reading out chapters from this book. And we are actually getting very good response from the readers, be it early childhood educators, even parents and school leaders. Then comes an article by me, which is about peaceful humans inculcating a culture of peace from early years. I have recently, not very recently, about 2 years back, developed this interest in inculcating this peace culture into children right from the start. And that also is about, that also includes what Dr. Sue has written about self-regulation, then about mindfulness, then about other things, even the environment, the settings, and all of it. And this is a very short article from my end. Then we have Seeds of Culture and Social Fitness by Maria Scrubby. Raising Strong-Willed Children the Way They Deserve, Neha Somani. Neha is with us today. And The More, the Merrier by Gagandeep Kaur. And then the events. So now, since we have our contributors with us, I'll quickly leaf through these articles. And this is the glimpse of our summit that we had in Delhi. And I again congratulate all the awardees of the ECDf Earth Literacy Awards. They are all featured here, and it's a proud moment for them and also for us, so that because we could honor people who are genuinely working in this area. This is our book launch, Pleasant Memories. And then this is my article on peaceful humans, and Maria Scrubby's article, Neha's, and Gagandeep's. And then we have all this photo section on what we did all through this 6 months. So many sessions, Torika Pitara, courses, webinars, n number of events that we have done, both online and offline. And now let me go back to Dr. Catherine Murray and ask her to tell a few, what's her article about? What, I know you're doing a lot of work on this, and what does this article you've written actually have in it? If you can give
Thanks.
a glimpse.
Thank you, Dr. Vasavi. And it really has been a huge year for ECDf with a lot of international work that the whole organisation has been doing. So congratulations on that. And it's been a lot of fun being involved in that. So thank you for the inclusion. Now, I've written just a short little article about intentional teaching, and it's brain-friendly intentional teaching. So at the beginning of the article, I talk about what intentional teaching actually is, or whether we operate on a way of personal inclination. So personal inclination means that we just teach the way we always have taught, or maybe we teach the way that we were taught when we were young. So it's just sort of doing what you want to do, really. Intentional teaching is being purposeful and making professional decisions about the language that we use with children, what we talk about with children, the type of provocations that we use with children, and it's being quite intentional and thoughtful when we are teaching children. Now, the BrainSet Environments formula is a pedagogy that I've developed, and it's a whole form of planning. It's about setting up our learning environments so that it's conducive to the development of the brain. And when we're thinking about how the brain develops, we talk a lot about the survival part of the brain, the emotional part of the brain, and the thinking part of the brain, and how all of that needs to harmonize. Now, we can do that intentionally if we are teaching intentionally by making sure that we have our learning environment set up in a way that has small defined spaces, and it's curated in such a way that there's interesting things in each of these areas that are developing skills that that the children need to develop or should develop. So being intentional about what we put in our environment is really important, not just doing it the way we've always done it. We work from the children's interests, we talk to children, we build relationships, which is what we all know to do in early childhood and teaching in general. We build relationships with children, and we do things in a purposeful and intentional way. By doing that and setting up your learning environment using the BrainSet process, we make sure that we're building opportunities for oral language, for literacy, numeracy development, for resilience, self-regulation, collaboration, cooperation, decision-making, just to name a few. And it's because we've been intentional and we've been careful and mindfully set up our environment, but also it's not just the environment, it's our whole teaching approach, so that we're working with the children and not teaching to the children, we're working with the children. And I guess that's the essence of what this article is about. It's only quite short, and I give you a really brief overview of what the Brain Set Environments formula is all about, but it'll give you a taste, and you can always contact me if you need to know more. So that's pretty much it, I think, Dr. Vasavi.
Thank you, Dr. Kathy, for sharing about your article. And I definitely, I know that this is going to be a very interesting read, and anybody who wants to know more about it can get in touch with her, and they should get in touch with her, because this is an excellent, aspect, which is so important for early childhood development. Coming to Sue Asquith, to her article. Sue, would you comment on what is your article all about?
Of course. Dr. Safi, thank you for your introduction. So my article is all about self-regulation skills in young children. I wrote my book back in 2018 on this very subject, unbeknown to the fact then, obviously, what was going to, the world had in store for us at that stage. Obviously, self-regulation skills are hugely important all the time, but we've had many adverse experiences that have kind of thrust themselves on us in the last few years as well. So my article talks about self-regulation skills in young children, what self-regulation is, and also how we can support this. And I feel, even though I have not read Dr. Kathy's piece, that actually will have a lot in common. And I know full well, even though I haven't read Dr. Sue's piece either, that actually will have a lot in common, and there'll be a lot of crossover where we're all probably speaking about the very same things. So self-regulation skills, people ask me about it a lot. I'd always talk about this as being the ability to be able to understand and manage your own emotions and behaviours and attention in a way that's socially acceptable, which may seem really, really simple phrase, but actually when we're supporting young children with these skills, there's a whole host of things, obviously, that we need to support them with as well. So we need to think about how we're going to be able to support children in terms of co-regulation, and also that in the fact that the parents and the educators sometimes are stressed themselves and maybe aren't really in that optimum place where they can effectively co-regulate with the children as well. I've recently done some more work on things like executive function, which obviously kind of dovetail co-regulation skills and self-regulation skills, and it helps us to be able to think flexibly and problem solve, and obviously learn as well. So again, a lot of information that possibly crosses over in the other articles that are in here as well. So my article, I'm getting asked a lot internationally and in the UK for information and training on supporting children's behaviour. And if you've heard me speak before, I do lots of these air quotes, supporting children's behaviour, which when we unpick it usually is dysregulation. It's trying to find out what the child's trying to communicate via that behaviour, and then trying to support them emotionally with their environments and obviously their positive relationships as well. So I'm hoping you find the article useful. It's obviously only very, very brief, but again, very much like Dr. Kathy, if you want to get in touch, if you want to look up my website, there's a contact me box, and you're very, very welcome to find out more.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you for giving us a glimpse of your article. Self-regulation is indeed very important, and I think many aspects of early childhood development is interrelated, and how we look into it is, again, the different varied perspectives that we bring in. So there is always some kind of, though it is interrelated, it has its own unique stand in every area, so that way, so we are connected, but yet we can put in our own inputs in a different manner, and the way people look at it, right?
Yeah,
so
very important. Yeah, thank you.
So moving on to Fatima, what is your article on phonics about? Tell me.
Hi, hello everyone. Hope everyone's well. So my article is more about all about the latest sort of research and methods and strategies in teaching phonics. Now, unfortunately, in lots of parts of the world, phonics is taught in, you can say, sort of a mundane, boring way, which is more of flashcards. Now, the latest sort of method of teaching phonics, that's what my article is about, is all about multisensory learning. And coming back from myself, I've lived all my life in the UK. I was born in London. Now, I struggled myself because my home language was Arabic, and it was very hard for me to learn English. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of sort of phonics schemes or programs. Now, linguistically, if we talk about linguistics, if phonics was introduced at that time, it would have been an excellent sort of way for me to sort of progress in learning English easier. Because what the latest research that I'm doing at the moment for my MA, it's how, for example, as I'm the Middle Eastern ambassador for Phonics Shed, which is a multisensory program as well, I have found that, for example, Middle Eastern children will learn the phonics sounds, the English phonics sounds easier because our letters are very similar to the English letters. So if we're talking about, if we're teaching phonics, we will find there's a lots of similarities in linguistics and the sounds of when it comes to even other languages as well. And that sort of helps children as well to learn phonics. But however, as we all talk about, is having that environment, that nurturing environment, having an environment that is stimulating, an environment that has lots of hands-on activities, doing it through, for example, the methods that we use in Phonics Shed, which is one of our approved schemes in by the Department of Education. It's basically, it's ways that children will learn fast and easier by using their senses. For example, lots of tactile learning, a bit of auditory learning, having the visual learning as well, all embedded in phonics. And this is what sort of I talk about in my article. And I always look at research as well. So everything that multisensory approach has been highlighted in many research. For example, they've one of the last sort of offset inspection in the UK, they have found a lot of schools lacked that sort of multisensory learning. It was more teachers don't have the time to do that multisensory sort of activities. And this is what we're trying to bring back in all over the world, not just the UK and US and Canada. It's the fact spreading the word of the importance of allowing children to use that sort of approach, which is rather than just using sort of flashcards and boring methods, to use a more sort of updated methods, which is multisensory learning and storytelling as well. So teaching the sounds all through storytelling as well, which is fun. And then using puppets as well, which has been a big benefit according to research as well. And as Montessori highlights, the importance of multisensory learning is the hands are the instruments of intelligence. So having lots of hands-on experiences. And also, as I said, the similarities between languages and the sounds. In every language, I have found it similar, but when I studied Arabic, it was very similar as well, the sounds. And that sort of is another sort of method that we can use to teach phonics. And that's it, basically. And I've put lots of research about it. You can check it out about the history. It started from 1975. It was mentioned the importance of using multisensory learning.
Thank you, Fatima. I think that really gives us a glimpse into your article. And when we talk about phonics and when you're talking about storytelling, I think we also encompass the whole language development kind of an approach, right? So so that actually many times makes a lot of sense. Instead of, because in India, I should say, we go phonics in a very phonetic manner, like it's a disjointed phonic thing. But here, when we look at the whole language approach, then it's a completely different way of learning. And like you already said, multisensory learning opportunities, which are very important for children to develop, right? So yeah, so I think this article is going to be wonderful. And before we wind up, I move to my article. And in short, I'll be talking about it. It's Peaceful Humans. I have a lot of interest in peace because I am I was not so peaceful when I was little, but we develop the sense of peace with, I believe peace comes from three sources, which is the inner peace, social peace, and also peace with nature. So when we were young, always when, little children have a lot of things in the environment that at times disrupt their peace. But at the same time, if they know self-regulation, like Dr. Sue Asquith already mentioned, and like Dr. Kathy said, the environment, the ability to regulate, the ability to understand how our mind works, and how we can get peace by understanding our inner peace. There are small exercises that children can do. There are the settings, the setup that is required, for children to get into the mindfulness practices, which later may become a part of their lives, like it becomes a habit instead of a practice. And also those who facilitate peace, the peace facilitators, what should be their mindset like, because you are propagating peace, and how peaceful, or how can you model peace behavior? What is the peace language that you're using? And how you can, a child who's agitated or is fearful, how can you get the child into a peaceful state of mind? So this is what my article is all about. And I would end by quoting Dr. Maria Montessori, who very rightly said, establishing enduring peace is the work of education. All politics can do is keep us out of war. So as educators, I feel we are all working towards this. We are all working towards something which is, more whole, towards our understanding ourselves, empathy, compassion, understanding others. And this is this article all about. And I invite everyone to read this issue of EdClan, because I know this is really going to be going to give a lot of takeaways to educators. And I thank Sue, Dr. Kathy, Fatima, and Neha she joined us, but maybe she had some issues, glitches, technical, which always happens.
Yeah, I'm back here.
You're there. So kindly comment on your article for, we have about 3-4 minutes. So please, Neha, over to you. If you have a network issue, you may leave your camera off. Neha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, please tell us a little about your article. Raising
I'm sorry,
strong.
there's terrible network here. All right, so my article is about raising a strong-willed child. I'm practically living with a strong-willed child. I'm raising another one. I'm a mother to a 7.5-year-old and a 9-month-old. So every day is a challenge and a task, raising these two girls with their, own set of commands and rules and regulations.
You are on mute.
But I agree there are a lot of joys that I can still unearth. Vasavi doctor, my child just woke up. I'm so sorry.
That's absolutely fine. And Neha, thank you for contributing this article. I'm finding it really, really interesting when I went through it while I was editing it. And yeah,
Thank you.
Yet again, I would request all the readers to go through all the articles of this issue of EdClan. And before we wind up, I would like to announce 2 of our events that are coming up. One in September, which is going to be held at Guwahati. And that event, we will be discussing the best practices for fair education management, where a lot of speakers are going to join us from Pan India, and they would be discussing about creating the best practices for fair education management, be it infrastructure, be it curriculum, be it methodology, and a lot of other aspects. And then we have an international edu tour coming up in Thailand in November, and that we will be releasing very soon, all the details about it. And I thank all of you, all our contributors who's taken out time and joined us today for this release of EdClan, and I wish that we keep coming up with more and more such issues. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Happy reading to all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for understanding. Thank you.